Oh, my goodness. Sorry, folks. We have been racing against a clock here and against a few little technical problems, but we are here. We have a lot to talk about.
Whoa, we do.
I
can't keep up with it.
Bro, we have got nonsense happening in the Middle East. The liars are coming out in full force. I'm going to show you a video, by the way, that's going to be kind of funny in one respect, but very sobering in another.
Ooh,
it's a video that I actually released, a short video that I released this morning, but I think it's a very telling story, and I'm going to actually tell it to you simply by showing you the video. It involves a very mentally deranged human being, and it also involves a very special man who is now with the Lord. You can guess what it's going to be all about in just a minute, but we're going to do that. We're also, this is very interesting. We're also going to do this. We're also going to have a discussion regarding the lies that are being communicated right now.
Oh, please.
In Israel, and now they're trying to bring the church into the picture.
Oh, yeah. Did you see
the fake church? Did you see that? You know who sent me that? Kaddis. You know who did a phenomenal response to that, by the way? Mike Duran, of all people. He did a phenomenal response to that subject. We're going to deal with it because now the church is becoming implicated in lying against Israel.
Oh, that's not new.
This is worse because they're trying to do this with what they call the church in Israel.
Oh, okay. So I'll give you some of my up close and personal kind of experiences with that.
I've been very eager to hear about that because I know there's going to be some things I'm going to learn.
Yeah,
and we'll have to talk about that. So we've got that going on, and there are things happening right now in the Middle East that we have never seen before. We're also going to talk about that because that in and of itself is remarkable when you consider what's happening in Iran. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I think, in that country. I don't know what's going to happen with it.
Are you up to prophecy saying what's going to happen there?
Yeah, listen, I don't think that Bible prophecy can tell us any hints regarding the immediate.
Yeah, well,
but I think
I'm talking us as prophets to say about what you think. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah,
let's go into that because I think there is a discussion here. I'm not sure. Most people have this, I think this, I'm going to say, irrational idea that, everything's going to be solved here.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Well, if anybody who thinks everything's going to be solved there just doesn't know Bible prophecy. Now, things may appear to be solved. That's certainly something that we can expect to see happen. Like, that's no problem. But there's so much more that meets the eye on this.
Okay. So we need to talk about what we think might happen. Oh, Gaza is reaching a critical stage. And again, I've been sitting here for 2 years and saying the same thing, but we are at a critical stage with regards to Gaza.
Oh, this one is different. We're at a different level of what I would call critical stage. This one involves a battle that is being fought, and that battle that's being fought it's getting ugly. Okay, number one.
Yep.
But perhaps there are some in-between-the-lines issues that we have to talk about here.
Okay.
That aren't going to make a lot of sense until we can get that squared away.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, there's a lot on the table here. I got to get you printer paper. Sorry, I'll do that right now.
I'll do that in a bit. It's okay.
So there's all of that happening.
Kurds, Turkey, all of that's happening too. So what I'm trying to say is there's this sense of storm, or we're on the edge of we're in the middle of the storm right now.
No, we're
in the middle of the storm.
It's the calm of the calm before the storm.
There's a lot of things kind of messing around with that, and well, let's get into it.
So that in and of itself is an issue. Like we could just run that gamut down and end up finding all kinds of craziness for lots of different reasons.
And here's another thing that I want to bring up that I've never heard before, felt before. The anti-Semitism is coming out of the woodworks, and in many cases, even out of the woodworks of the Christian churches.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm seeing it on left, I'm right. I'm seeing it even in families. And I'm going to tell you truthfully, maybe we need to have a discussion about this because I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to deal with people that I respect and like and kind of think about who actually don't know enough about the subject but feel that they have a right to say, oh, you've stolen Palestinian land. And I say, where does that come from? And he said, well, that's what everybody says. And how do you actually unpack that and kind of put it on the table and do it with respect? Because one of my main problems is that I don't have respect for people who go down that down that path.
Well, there's a lot of brainwashed nonsense happening. That's a given. It's become more and more obvious, and that's another whole ball of wax that we have to come in and revisit. Because, bro, it's getting ugly.
It is. It is getting ugly, and one of the weird things that I've noticed is that we're not hearing about the anti-Israel and anti-Semitism from the left anymore. It's not even going, the algorithm doesn't even see it anymore. We're hearing it from the right. And we're hearing it from people who, should have been on this part. And it's playing a role.
Yeah. Well, there's, again, I've said this many, many times before. There's so much more to this. And the right is getting ugly. The right is getting super, super ugly. Super ugly. And at first, my initial impression was that these people just don't know any better, and they're saying things based on their emotions, and they're hearing things, but they don't understand the full picture. These are things that are going through my mind as I'm looking at it. And now I'm beginning to realize, no, there is a brutal and very concerted effort to do wickedness. And it's being funded as such.
Yep.
And it's getting uglier and darker and more vile by the moment. And it's not something that can be ignored.
Well, I'm gonna kind of see if I can illustrate it like this. There was a feeling that this was the main, I'm going to say, bread and butter of the left progressive woke ideology. That the watermelon dynamic. You know what I mean when I say watermelon?
Oh yeah, explain.
The green, the green and pink coalition that is going on between. The red and green coalition that's going on between socialism, communism, leftism, progressivism on one hand, and fundamentalist Islamic jihadism on the other hand.
Yeah.
We call it the watermelon because it's green and red. And okay, so that has fallen apart ever since the elections because the conservatives and the right is on the rise and on the move, and are the power brokers in Western civilization today, and boom trach, Satan took away, I think, his attention on the left anti-Semitism and is now investing all of his resources on right-wing anti-Semitism. And I think that is what we're seeing happening right now.
Yeah. I think it's more nefarious than that, and I think it goes even deeper than that. And there's a few things that have happened over the last few weeks that help me to really be able to frame that a little bit more accurately.
Okay.
Which I think is actually worse than what you're saying. I think it's scarier than what you're saying. When I say scarier, meaning not scarier for us, not scarier for the cause of Christ, not scarier for the kingdom, not scarier even for the Jewish people, because God is going to protect them. But scarier for the enemies that choose to allow themselves to get engulfed in this, and thus will end up experiencing the demise not only of themselves but of their families and of their whole world. And that's a warning that God brings out, and it's one that we have to start paying attention to. And it's one that's very difficult for many people to even begin to compute, because of the nature of what it actually does.
Again, we're not surprised. And again, I think I've said this before in the past. I mean, I sit on this unique position where I'm also part of the Jewish nation, And again, there's a whole dynamic in that. There is such a thing as a Jewish nation. I think a lot of people think that I've starting to mix up Israel and Israelite or Israeli as a nationality, and forgetting that the Bible calls us a nation. The Bible calls us a people. I mean, and it's not an ethnic, genetic thing. It is a national identity. And when the Bible talks about the Jewish nation, it talks about the national identity of the Jewish nation. That was way before there ever was a state of Israel. But we can start unpacking that if we need to. But what I'm trying to say is, a lot of people have turned their I don't trust the Jews, and I don't trust what they're doing, and I need an explanation to why things are going wrong, and the only way I can explain it is the Jews, and actually giving us modern versions of what we've heard ever since the beginning of time, that the Jews are the cause and the issue and the main problem. One of the things that came across my feed, though, today is that people are starting to bring Martin Luther up out of the ashes in regards to this, and saying, wait a minute, if we believe Martin Luther was such a great Bible scholar and he brought us the Reformation and everything, here's what he said about the Jews. And I don't know if you know, but he said some very, very bad things.
Pretty evil.
He said some very, very bad things about the Jews.
Pretty evil.
I mean, literally, that Jewish books and Talmud should be burned, and that Jews should be have their money taken away from them, and they should not be allowed to teach their religion on pain of death, and they should have to work. I think one of his conditions was they have to work menial work. They cannot work in high tech or finances, and he was going to make that happen. In such a way. So, again, Martin Luther is being brought back up onto the stage in order to convince us. And here's one of the weird things. I'm seeing that the Christian anti-Semitism, and I'm going to call Tucker Carlson the standard bearer, or Candace Owen, who are saying, I am saying this because I'm Christian. I'm saying this because I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm saying this because Jesus said 1, 2, 3 about the Jews also. And I mean, a lot of people have been disappointed in us. It comes from the Catholic side more than the evangelical side. That at least was the feeling until now. It is spreading into the evangelical church. And that is, I think, a serious threat.
But can I ask you this question? Is it spreading into the evangelical church, or is it spreading into what everybody would call the cultural evangelical church? Meaning, this flavor of cultural Christianity is growing and growing and growing and growing. And so much of that element of cultural Christianity has the anti-Jew bent to it, has the Jew hatred bent to it. But is it real evangelicalism? Because I'm beginning to see a movement in the church that is notably becoming more pro-Israel, because they have to be. There's movement there that seems to be a little bit more favorable. The problem is it's hard to recognize because it's not mainstream.
Okay, so to answer your question, I believe, and again, I go to a lot of churches, I'm connected to a lot, and I think I see something that is happening that is part of a bigger issue. And again, Israel's becoming, like always, the stumbling block.
Yeah, of course.
But the church has become, in some cases, more, or is attempting to become more acceptable to the masses. And especially the younger generation of pastors are saying, wait a minute, I want people to come to the church. That is our role. The role is to share the gospel with people. Now, if we talk negatively about homosexual relationships, then people see that as a problem, the vast majority, and we won't get young people coming into the church. So let's not deal with it, and let's not touch it. And I'm using one issue.
But David, is that really the real church? Like, let me frame it a slightly different way, right? I have a very dear friend. He's a special guy. He's very, very special to me, right? I had a hand in discipling him. I mean, the guy's amazing. And he has a YouTube channel. He has probably about 1 million people that watch him now on YouTube.
Okay.
He might be, in my opinion, not might be, I think he is probably one of the strongest apologists that we have in our generation. I think he's smart. I think he's competent. He loves the Lord. He's a pastor. He very much is biblically minded.
I'm
and
hearing...
he did a 5.5-hour video. You might know who he is, Mike Winger.
Okay.
He did a 5.5-hour video exposing the insane cover-up culture that exists within the charismatic church.
Oh, yeah. I
Bethel, International House of Prayer.
Well, I heard they were called IHOP, and I thought IHOP you go to have
breakfast.
Yeah,
to go to breakfast. That's what the International House of Prayer is. Yeah.
I learned this from Justin. I hope Justin's listening.
The stuff that these guys are doing are satanic. Like, they're evil. They're wicked. But the anti-Israeli bent, the anti-Jewish bent, forget Israeli, anti-Jewish bent that exists amongst groups like that, it comes from a deeper area. They're not walking closely to the Lord.
I understand what you're saying, but here's what I'm trying to kind of reach, and I'm trying to kind of wrap my mind, and maybe you can help me on this one. Even churches that are connected to the Word, that teach the Word, and you know, I'm closely affiliated to one church. Even if there's no anti-Israel bent in the teaching and in off the pulpit, there's no pro-Israel. And when there's no pro-Israel, the anti-Israelism actually grows.
But is that pastor walking with the Lord? I mean, that's a question you have to ask yourself.
Well, here's the thing. I heard a conversation between Brandon Holthouse and Olivier. I think you know them both.
Yeah.
And Brandon was saying there are people in his church, and you cannot accuse Brandon of being anti-Israel. Being outwardly. There are people in his church who are leaving because he is pro-Israel. People, he says people that I've taught, and I'm seeing it in my family. Okay, or in our family, and what I'm trying to say is,
man, we got people coming to our church because I'm pro-Israel.
Well, that's the thing. But is the relatively quiet that some of the churches are saying this is a controversial issue? I don't even want to deal. I'm not going anti-Israel. I'm pro-Israel. I love Israel. I mean, okay, but if the relative quiet from the church and the loudness of the anti-Israel from around, is that not allowing the anti-Israelism and anti-Judaism and anti-God's peopleism to grow inside the church? That's what I'm worried about to a certain extent, and I think that's what we're going to be dealing. I mean, I've seen some terrible things coming out lately. The Jews are the reason. The Jews are this. Zionism is evil. I mean, how can anybody who's read their Bible say Zionism is evil?
Because, bro, again, the same thing is they don't even know how to identify terms. Zionism is a bad word, but yet Zion is the term that we see all throughout the scriptures. So, I mean, these are things that it's just, we expect this to happen. The Bible says that this is something that we should be seeing coming.
Here we go.
It's not even a surprise.
All right.
It shouldn't even be a shock to any of us anymore. Okay.
So of all of these subjects, where do we want to go?
We got a lot to talk about, bro. I mean, we got a lot to talk about.
Okay.
Do we want to start with what's happening in Davos?
Oh, okay.
I know that that's something that you asked about. I mean, there's a bunch of different areas we could actually
Okay, so I'm going to lay out maybe the how do you say the field right now, because we've got the whole issue going on in Iran, and the killings in Iran. The way the world is relating to that, by the way, connect that to what we're talking about. I mean, all the people who were demonstrating for the poor people of Gaza, why aren't they demonstrating for the poor people of Iran right now? But that just proves the hypocrisy. But we've got that. We've got the United States of America, yes or no, doing something, triggering something, pushing the button on something in order to make something happen in Iran. And there's a whole question of what should be done, if it should be done, how it should be done. And then you have everything that's going to happen as a result of that. That ties into what's going on in Gaza. President Trump announced this week that we are officially moving from stage 1 to stage 2. But I'm going to say the criteria that should have been fulfilled in stage 1 have not been fulfilled, and we're moving to stage 2 already in any case. And that connects to Davos because I think he's trying to get it done so he can announce it from the biggest economic platform in the world. And we need to talk about what Davos is and what it means and who is going to be playing in that kind of dynamic. And that's that. And then, well, I think that's enough for now. I mean, how do we connect?
I think that's the smallest part of it. The World Economic Forum stuff is stuff that we're gonna actually end up talking about as time goes on. I mean, obviously, let's see here. How many days? This is the second day, and a lot of the stuff that's going on there are like unbelievable. The things that they're talking about, the speakers that are going on, all of that. And I'm looking at the program agenda right now, and there's a lot happening. There's a lot happening.
Can we kind of take a couple of minutes, and because you do this better than I do, give me an overview. What is the World Economic Conference? We call it Davos because it's actually
it's in Davos, Switzerland.
It's in Davos, Switzerland. So but that's become a generic term for what?
Yeah,
and what is it?
Basically, it is a meeting of pretty much all the global elites. And they all get together. The World Economic Forum is, in essence, the think tank, for lack of a better term, of all of what I would call the globalists that we've been speaking against. And so many of the most terrible, horrendous, demonic, and satanic ideas come out of this forum. And there's all kinds of stuff.
Do you think they come out of the forum, or does the forum concentrate those ideas? It's like me and taxi drivers, by the way.
I think it's a semantic issue that we're dealing with here.
Here's a weird one. I'll give you my little illustration about taxi drivers. They try to rip me off all the time.
Yep.
And I'm saying to myself, do people who like to rip off other people become taxi drivers? Or do taxi drivers become like that the minute they become taxi drivers?
That's a tough question to ask, because taxi drivers have it bad too. Like if you look at some of the taxi drivers here in California, I don't even know how they can make a living unless they do Uber. So they're trying to get every last dime out of whoever it is that they're driving, because it's the only way they can survive. I think it is a completely, like, it's not even close to the illustration that probably should be applied to here.
What I'm trying to say is that,
like, who came first, the chicken or the egg? I know that's the question you're asking, basically.
So, does Davos concentrate the people who have that kind of agenda, or has Davos created the agenda that we're talking about?
It's both.
Okay, and we need to kind of understand that. Now, by the way, who is there? Who's at Davos?
Everybody. I mean, bro, everybody. As a matter of fact, President Trump is going to be speaking there. You've got the European Union Commissioner who's going to be speaking. She always does. China's Vice Premier is going to be speaking there.
Is Russia going to be there?
Jensen Huang is going to be there.
Yeah, but not all. This isn't the UN. This is not all the countries in the world.
Yeah, bro, virtually every country in the world is going to be represented in one way or another, whether it be through an owner of a business. I mean, virtually everybody. And as a matter of fact, you will even see some people representing Iran, not like people part of the regime or anything like that, but businessmen who have a unique interest in wanting to see something happen over there. They'll go over there in the name of wanting to do something right. But these are the global elitists. When you open up the book of Revelation, chapter 6, and you read about the black horse, which speaks of economic failure, right? Famine, economic failure, you get into that. There's an area of that chapter, I believe it's chapter 6, verses, I want to say 5 and 6, something like that. But there's a verse there that says, I think it's verse 6. It says, "Touch not the oil and the wine." Basically, leave it alone. The idea behind that phrase speaks very uniquely about a rich ruler class, basically. The Clintons of the world, the Klaus Schwabs of the world, everyone that you can actually think of, and they all get Elon Musk. I don't know if Elon Musk participates in Davos. He's kind of a different ball of wax. If anybody watching can find evidence of the fact that he's participating there, he doesn't strike me as that type anymore.
Okay.
But, I mean, you never know. Look, the point is that it's so many people that are going to have a mega influence. Now, the reason why Donald Trump is going to show up there or is going to participate over there is to do what he's always done every single year. And that's gone up there, as the president, anytime he's been the president, and say, you globalists are never going to get away with it, and we're going to be I'm the gatekeeper. Good luck trying to get through me. So Donald Trump's going to go over there, and he's going to become a repudiation. He's going to go over there and literally spit in their faces. That's what's going to end up happening, okay? He's also bringing, from what we understand, is bringing the largest U.S. delegation that they've ever brought to Davos. And my guess behind that is Donald Trump is also going to use that as an opportunity to work some business deals.
Well, the biggest one that he's pushing right now is Greenland. I mean, what is he going to do with Greenland and Davos? I mean, everybody's against him on this one.
I'm telling you right now, they all say it. They all go on paper and they say it. They get behind their cameras and they say it. They go, no, 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 no. We're going to do this tariff thing. We're going to do that. We're going to blah, 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 blah. But I'm telling you, and make no mistake about it, like I'm telling you, this is what's going to end up happening. They're going to end up, well, let me just say this, okay? When they see him face to face, their whole tone changes. It's completely different. So they're going to end up folding. They're going to. So they're not going to enter into another trade war with the president.
Trump is going to finish his presidency with Greenland being
Probably.
another. I don't think it's going to be another state, but it's going to be another Puerto Rico.
It'll probably be. Chances are it'll be treated like an asset of the United States. Now, how that looks, I don't know. Because the people in Greenland want autonomy, but the people in Greenland also want security. The Danish aren't doing it. NATO's not going to do it. The European Union isn't doing it. They don't have the resources to stare down the face of China or Russia, for that matter.
Here's the thing.
And when some of that ice begins to melt, as it does seasonally, good luck fighting them off when they start bringing their subs through those canals. Good luck. It's not going to happen.
If I remember correctly, the whole population in Greenland is like 60,000 people.
It's nothing.
Like 60,000 people.
It's
a neighborhood in Lakewood.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you this, this is kind of interesting. I happen to know a little bit more about Greenland than most, at least in terms of this context, because, I can't even say why.
Okay.
It's so crazy. Like, I can't even say. I almost slipped. I can't even say why. But so to speak, I've been privy to things happening in Greenland before they happened.
Okay.
I've been the guy that people have been approaching. I think I can be safe and say this and say, hey, this is about to happen over there. Please pray. And then 2 days later, I open up in the news. Oh, look at what happened over there. It's like, whoa, that's crazy. So there's a lot happening, bro. I mean, it's way bigger than anybody wants to think.
Okay. So let's go back to Davos.
And also, before we forget, I want to talk about this. So I don't want you to let me forget about this.
Okay.
I want to talk about that moron that belongs in jail, Don Lemon, over what happened in St. Paul when they stormed that church.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole other issue.
Okay, so but let's move into the Greenland thing just so we kind of put it in some kind of context. Greenland is a huge, massive island. It's controlled. By the way, most of the people living there are Inuit, I think is what you call them. Eskimos.
Yeah.
We used to call them when we were younger.
Yep.
Okay, they are. Sorry about that. They are native people.
Yeah,
native people to there, but it had become a Danish dominion at some point. Like, by the way, Iceland used to be Norway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
so
that's
leftover colonial influence, and they are colonial. I mean, like they don't have their own self-govern. They're governed by, I mean, like Canada with the British. Would that be a good illustration?
I guess so. I mean, look, Greenland is autonomous. I mean, it is. We still look at them through the eyes of them being possessed by the Danish, because technically they're still that, but they are treated very autonomously.
No, and let's go back. 60,000 people, huge amounts of natural resources, but sitting on a very strategic place in the world. And I think that is what's
probably the most strategic place in the world.
Well, I would say Israel is the most strategic.
Well,
I mean,
no. Well, let me say this. If I were to just offer some perspective, okay, Greenland is to pretty much the whole world what the Golan Heights is to Israel, to Jordan, to Syria, to Lebanon, to
I hear you.
To Iraq. Greenland carries that kind of significant weight, meaning strategically, whoever controls Greenland or continues to keep a presence there pretty much controls a lot. So that's kind of an important part to look at.
One of the things that we kind of tend to forget, and I found this very helpful, is that you need to look at Greenland on a globe. It's not enough. When you look at it on a regular world map, you don't really get the significance of Greenland the way it is.
Yeah, because it looks like some little topping cover when it's on the globe.
Yeah, but when you look on a globe, you see that it sits between the Western Hemisphere and the European Hemisphere.
100%.
It sits between them. And when you look at it on the side, you see the Atlantic Ocean is between the United States and Europe. But if you think on it on a global perspective, if you go from the United States to Europe over the North Pole, Greenland is in the middle.
Yep.
And that is the shortest route, basically.
Well, and strategically, it's going to mean something, because if I'm launching a missile, and it's intercontinental, meaning I'm shooting it over the ocean and off to another continent, it's going to likely go over Greenland.
Yeah.
It just is, because there's a lot to talk about that, general physics, all that kind of stuff. So if you have control over that, it's going to make a big difference.
One thing I think I found out a little bit a while ago, which I think is amazing, is the whole rare earth minerals that is connected to that. I think China has a monopoly over these rare minerals, not only the extraction of them, but also the refinement of them. And Greenland has a huge natural resource in that. So control of Greenland will break the Chinese monopoly on those rare minerals.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, is that the best way I like to put this is it has nothing to do with the fact that there's the presence of rare earth minerals in any portion of the world. Almost the whole world has all these rare earth minerals. They're everywhere. Okay. Some a little bit more richer than others for different reasons. The geologists will be able to explain that better. And there are some brilliant ones that I could recommend. But the bigger issue with respect to rare earth is more related to how it's being processed and how, in essence, it's being pulled. You can have all of it in the world, but if you aren't able to extract
refine
it means nothing. So think about it like funny you mentioned refining. Think about oil. Mm-hmm. Okay, my friend David Mitchell, he's my go-to guy. If I want to know anything about oil, he's gonna tell me. He knows everything there is to know about it, right? He owns a massive oil company in Texas. So when they go digging for oil, he said this. He said, look, they would find a well, and the well would be massive. It would be producing a bunch of oil. And then some stupid rule came into play, or OPEC did something crazy, or something happened, and the value of oil tanks. So now oil is at an all-time low in terms of its price. What he would do, he did this early on. He's never going to do it again. But early on, what he would do is he would basically say, we're going to cap this well for a while. We're not going to use it for a while. We don't want to pull any oil out because we want to keep it there and wait until it's a better time, get a better price. You would think that was a prudent decision. You think that would be wise. That's what I would do. Well, David doesn't do that. What David does is when he notices that oil price is not going to be what he wants it to be, he dramatically reduces the production of it, in that he slows the wells down to a very safe, slow rate so that a small amount of oil is coming out. Why? Because if he just stops digging, meaning if the well stays there, but they stop pulling oil out, you know what's going to end up happening? They're going to collapse the well.
Okay.
The well will actually collapse.
So you have to keep on extracting oil no matter what.
Now, so I bring this up because if you look at this in context of Venezuela, for example, they had tons of wells that were producing, billion plus barrels of oil. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of oil. When Venezuela decided to kick all these American companies out and these contractors and these owners, those wells stopped producing. If they stop producing, look, good luck. You would think all you got to do is go back, take the controls over, and start it over again. No, they're all destroyed. You've got to redig.
So we've got a global economy, and let's go back to Greenland, because Greenland is basically President Trump saying, I need Greenland for strategic reasons, for economic reasons, for...
Yeah, so my whole point is, if he's saying he needs it for economic reasons, it has nothing to do with rare earth. If he does quote rare earth, it's because he's looking to create economic opportunities for the people of Greenland that own mineral rights to some of these properties. It has everything to do with economic security, military strength. It has everything to do with being in the most strategic position as possible to secure American
interest.
Everything. Yeah, okay. American interest. That's the perfect word.
Which brings me to the fact that we have a president today who is saying, this is America's interest. I will use all of the tools, all of the abilities, all of the powers that I have as the greatest economy and the greatest military in order to push forward American interests.
100%.
And the world is freaking out about it.
100%.
The world. I mean, Europeans, how do you do this to us? I mean, they would do it if they could. But okay, now we have a president who can use all of his powers, be them economic, be them strategic, be them military, in order to advance American interests.
Yep.
Okay, so he's going to sit down in Davos and say, it is in America's interest that we want Greenland. And if you fight against it, we are going to use the tools at our disposal. And one of the things I think he likes using a lot are these tariffs. I think he said all the countries who oppose us in Greenland, I'm going to give them a 10% tariff. And if that opposition continues until June, we're going to put a 25% tariff on everything.
I mean, he's not playing around. And for a lot of reasons, he's not playing around.
So here, what I'm trying to say is we have a president of the greatest nation in the world right now who is saying, I have the power, the ability, the capability to do this. I should do this in the interest of the American people.
Yep.
And I don't know why all of the Americans are not standing behind him and clapping.
Well, for lots of reasons. First of all, I mean, well, it depends on where you want to go with this, right? So much of this is the culture that we've created. At the expense of sounding offensive, because I'm going to be offensive when I do this. Not that I want to be. You have a whole group of kids, young men. A very dear friend of mine, and I won't identify who it is, refers to this group as the Lost Boys. Okay, it's a group of young men who are, in some cases, very rarely, but in some cases, they're married and living with their mothers. If they're not married, which most of them are not, they're hanging out in their basements, playing video games, doing whatever.
You mean the Fuentes gang?
The Fuentes gang. And by the way, there are more than that. It's a culture that's been created.
Okay.
Look, I'm going. Maybe it's because of the way you were raised. Maybe it's because of the way I was raised. I was raised by an old school Middle Eastern man. Okay? I would be dead before I would allow my wife and my children to be living with a parent. It wouldn't happen. I would be literally working. I don't care if it was at a gas station. I don't care where. I would be working 23 hours a day if I had to do whatever it took to give my family
a roof
above their heads, their own stability, to give my wife the ability to stay at home and care for and love on my children. And quite frankly, I wouldn't care what it took. By the way, This is the reason why I'm super big right now on financial literacy. But this is what's happening with this crowd. This crowd is focusing on where American money is going. They're not paying those taxes. None of them are involved in it because many of them are even jobless. Because they're too busy scapegoating. Which, by the way, the term scapegoat is actually a Jewish term, believe it or not.
No, it's a biblical term.
Yeah, it's a biblical term, right? Yeah, but I call it.
It is.
That's right. And it's everything to do. It's actually a really cool thing. But anyway, they're scapegoating the Jews. They're saying, "Oh, it's the Jews' fault." It's like, can you get any more dishonest about yourself?
Well, you're putting the sins of the world on an innocent animal.
It's not even that. You're putting you're right. You're right about that. He's talking about Yom Kippur, everybody, which is
that's where the term comes
right.
from.
I know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but look, I think this is super critical for everybody to understand. Okay, like I need people to see it for what it is.
Okay.
I need people to see it for what it is. It's people not taking responsibility. Okay, so look, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this video. This will explain it perfectly. Okay, and once I play it, you will all know exactly where I'm coming from. As a matter of fact, I actually don't even need to. I know what I can do to pull it up. Hold on.
There you go.
I'm going to pull up this video because this video is. I'm telling you. This video will very well describe what we're facing. Okay, what's going on? So
I want to tie it back to the Davos thing that I think is the main axis that connects to this. You got it?
Yep, I got it.
Go.
Let me put it to full screen. Okay, let's do this. Let me switch it over here, and okay, here it is. I made this super late last night.
Nope.
That's why I'm in my night gear. Okay. But this will give you a really good idea of where we're at. Hopefully it'll be eye-opening for a lot of people. Okay. And this summarizes my point well.
All right.
Okay. It summarizes my point well.
Wouldn't it be a terrible shame if the video I'm about to show you went viral? This one is for you, Charlie and Erica.
It is very tempting to engage in, let's just say, deep internet theories that quite honestly are rooted in lunacy.
Sigmund Freud was a Kabbalist. They are trying to use psychology to make their religion the religion of the world.
And we see this with the Jew hatred, where people think that they're onto something, but in reality they're not.
The nation of Israel may have been established by some Frankists.
This particular affliction blames the Jews for everything.
Drugs, prostitution, sex pornography. We Jews love pornography.
You're going out of your way to try to create this big web of connections. It's the Jews, and it's the Jews, and it's the Jews.
Who is in control of the White House? And Nick Fuentes wrote a one-word response. Jews.
You want to talk about low IQ, blaming an entire group for all of your problems.
These 6 individuals that I am showing you were the most murderous. Of those individuals, the majority of them were Jews.
Anyone with a decent moral compass should reject the scapegoating of Jews.
Jewish people were the ones that were trading us. Jewish people were in control of the slave trade.
Your obsession with this group of people is so unhealthy.
Where did the idea of a concentration camp come from? Who created those gulag systems? The majority of them were Jewish men.
You
the
think
synagogue
Israel
of
is
Satan.
The synagogue,
the
of,
synagogue
Satan.
of Satan.
This is a synagogue of Satan, powerful group of elites.
The Israeli government does not do everything right, but they're not to blame for all of the world's ills either.
It was just convenient for Israel that JFK got shot. It was convenient for Israel, by the way, when the towers went down.
Israel did 9/11 is a rather anti-Semitic thing to say.
The Israelis that were working at the World Trade Center who were forewarned of the attack.
Anti-Semitism is literally a brain rot that stops your ability to think independently.
Jewish people.
Jewish men, they are Jewish. Jews.
Jews.
Jews. Jews.
And instead of pointing at a small group of people and engaging in this brain rot, become a better person. You'll be a happier and healthier, more joyful and productive person, but because of it.
I love you, Charlie Kirk.
Well,
I love Charlie Kirk.
How is this brain rot spreading again? How? I mean, you know.
That nonsense. You, you have people who are being controlled deeply and heavily by the very enemy of our soul, Satan. He hates you. Think about it like this. These young kids, and this is like super important to understand this, because there's a lot of people that are going to say, well, Candace is paid to say this. Candace is crazy. Candace is... Okay, all that might be true. In fact, a lot of it is true. She's mentally ill. It's bad.
Yes.
But let me just tell you where the bigger issue is. Let's take Candace out of the equation for a minute, because she shouldn't be even in the equation. Let's take Andrew Tate out of the equation. Let's take all of these other people, get them out of the equation for just a minute. The bigger issue here, and this is the one that bears consequence, is we are in the last days. The enemy wants to destroy the younger generation, Gen Z, all these guys. He wants to destroy them because he knows that the only way he will be able to put into effect the destruction of a whole society and a whole world is to get these people to focus on the thing that will get them cursed the fastest. You have to think about it as the doctrine of Balaam.
Okay.
Go back to that situation. What did Balak want? Balak wanted Israel to be destroyed. Balaam said, I can't say what God hasn't told me. Israel is in good standing with God. So what happens? There is a piece of counsel that's given. Let Israel curse God, and God will be forced to discipline them. Well, there's an example here. It's a big example. And the enemy is pulling out the same tactic. Get these people to curse God. And if these people can curse God, then they themselves will be cursed and they'll be without hope. What's the fastest way for them to curse God? The most effective way for them to curse God? You curse God's people. You curse the Jews. That's the fastest path to destruction. Why in the world do you think the president has been so blessed by God?
By the way, look down through history. I think it was Ben who said it or somebody else who said this. And if you want to see the beginning of the downfall of an empire, Spanish Empire,
yeah, absolutely,
Roman Empire.
Go look at what they did with Israel.
Look what they did to the Jews.
Look at what they do with the Jews. So again, my point behind this is the enemy wants to burn it all. So the problem, look, I'm going to make myself very, very clear. If our focus remains only on making cases for Israel and why Israel is good and why Israel has been a nation ordained by God for God's purposes, and we only leave it at that, we lose the battle. The battle is lost. The way that you get around that is you get inside of the minds and the hearts of this generation and you tell them, stop blaming anybody that comes to your mind. Earlier, you were blaming the cuckoos at Black Lives Matter. Oh, they were creating problems, of course. Now you have found a more convenient group of people to blame, the Jews. And now as you're doing so, you are finding rest. You are finding comfort. You are literally finding catharsis in allowing them to be blamed to make a justification for why you are choosing to live like a loser.
Okay. So
it's the truth.
So we're segueing into something.
Stop living like a loser.
So we're segueing into something, and I'm going to pump something here. Somewhere this week, I sat down with Justin, my son-in-law, and we talked about men. And one of the things that came up is that men are supposed to take on the hardships of the world. I mean, if there's something hard that needs to be done, or something dangerous that needs to be done, or something complicated that needs to be done, by definition, our role is to step in and deal with that in order for our families, the people behind us, not to have to deal with that. And I think that men now in a culture have seen this less as their role, and their role is to do what is comfortable for them. They don't want to step up to what's hard. They want to live in comfort. And when they do that, they will not succeed. Because you and I both know that you have to struggle in order to succeed. And when they don't succeed, they say, wait a minute, why am I not succeeding? It's not my fault.
Well, and that's the problem. That's the problem. And look, I don't care. And some of you young guys might be mad at me if you hear this.
Okay.
We have a lot of grandmas that are watching right now. Let your sons hear this.
And grandsons.
Okay? Stop. Your grandsons especially. Stop making your dumb excuses. It's never been easier to make an amazing living than right now in the United States of America. There are tools that can actually do it for you. So stop lying. Stop telling yourself, oh, it's the Jews. Get out there and work.
Did you see that meme about with the song about it's all because of the Jews?
Oh, no, but there's a million.
I'll show you.
There's a million of
those. Again, and we are the ultimate excuse. We are the ultimate reason. And we have been down through the ages.
But you want to know why we're the ultimate reason? When you say we're the ultimate reason as Jews, you're the ultimate reason because this is a spiritual issue.
Exactly.
The fact that these kids are abandoning their own responsibilities, and you say, wait, hold on, I'm single. I'm in my teens. How can you blame me? No, you might be single right now, but God is calling you to be prepared for when you get married. See, I got married when I was 39 years old. Never been in a relationship prior to that point. In April, I will have been married now for 10 years. And I want to make myself clear. My whole life, I was preparing for the moment that happened. My commitment to my wife didn't start the day I walked down the aisle and said, I do. My commitment to my wife started the day I received the Lord in my heart. That meant I developed my skill sets long before I married my wife.
Which brings us to the main issue that we're dealing with is that men don't take responsibility today.
That's the issue.
And
that's the issue.
That's always been a core issue. One of the things that I always kind of find fascinating, I was brought up in a culture where if you are the leader, you are responsible. If I am the commander of a company, if one of my soldiers does something stupid and falls over and breaks his ankle, I am responsible. I'm responsible.
100%.
I didn't do it, but I am responsible.
100%, because it's a function of your leadership.
Exactly. And men have lost that. We're not responsible, and it's because of something else, and they blame everything else, and they don't take the blame, the responsibility, the hardship on themselves.
Yeah,
and that's why we were given stronger soldiers. At least we did have stronger soldiers. We were given stronger bodies. We've been given an ability to overcome hardships that a lot of women don't have because it's our role to stand up and confront the evil, to confront the hardship. We are supposed to do that for those behind us. That's what it means to be a man.
100%. And the issue is, and listen, I know there's a couple comments about this one thing. If you're married and you're living with your mom or your dad,
here we go.
The only reason why you do that, you better be doing that, is because they're ill and you're taking care of them. And they probably should be moved into your home while you manage their home to be able to make some money to take care of them. Number one.
I wonder who's listening to this right now.
Number two, I have no idea. But look, there's a lot of folks listening right now that need to hear it. There's a lot of folks listening that need to hear it. It's happening all the time. Nobody has an excuse. Nobody. Develop the skill set. Do the work. Stop making excuses. My dad had it way harder. Then I have it right now.
Exactly. And
if you're upset because, oh man, I can't buy a house because the interest rate is so high and the cost of the home is so high. Imagine buying a home where you're paying more in interest than you are the actual principal.
And
because you're paying 19% interest. That's what my dad had to deal with.
And here's what I'm trying to say. Don't blame the Jews. It's not their fault.
But that's the point. Look, my point is this, David. If people started actually, look, we had like 40 people drop off right now. Those are probably the kids. I hope they come back on and listen. Because look, I'm just saying this. Like, it's super, super important. You have this amazing opportunity. You have this wonderful opportunity. This generation is the generation that has the greatest opportunity to walk in unbelievable wealth.
So I want to tie this back because I feel like we're kind of winding around a windy path here. The United States of America is the most prosperous that has ever been in its history. Yes. And here's a president who is saying, we have this economic power, we have this prosperity, we have an ability to make the life better for most of our citizens. I want to do it in the way. And that's what he's doing in Davos right now. And here's another thing. For the United States of America to be what it is, it needs to project its power, its strength, its capability, and to use the assets that it has in order to push forward the agenda of the United States of America. And I'm going down a rabbit path. I don't know if somebody's going to react to that. That includes supporting Israel.
Yeah.
For American reasons. That includes putting pressure on Europeans to take over Greenland for American reasons. That includes taking on the president of Venezuela, who is pushing drugs into America for American reasons.
That's right. Yeah.
And that is something that this America First is saying, wait a minute, we want to sit in our corner and we want to hope that the world will not impact on us. It doesn't work like that anymore.
Yeah. And I want to read a comment from somebody because I think this gives me a great launching pad, right? This comment is from Ben Walton, 3481. You say, love you, James, but I make as much as someone at McDonald's, which, by the way, is a crime, okay? Because look what he says. He says, I'm an architect. A house costs 10 times my yearly income. I'm going to give you a word of encouragement, Ben. Seriously. If you're an architect, I want you to spend some time praying about how God can lead you to sit down with somebody that can help you develop a plan to use your amazing skill set.
Yes.
To cause your money to work for you. If you make your calculations to buy a home based on the amount of time that it's going to take to get the money to do the down payment, you're never going to get one. You live in a world today where you have lots of tools that will help you leverage your life by buying your time back and allowing your money to work for you. Now, we talk about one tool that's available, that we make available to everybody that I work with, which is Tradeway, that organization. Okay? But if that's not even something you want to do, Ben, you're a talented person. You've got an amazing head on your shoulders because you're an architect. Architectural work is super hard. It's not as easy as a lot of people would think. God's given you a gifting. He's given you a calling, and it's a matter of you sitting down and brainstorming with somebody that will help you leverage the opportunity that you have to become something that God wants you to be, that you may do what God has called you to do. It's a challenge. You start it now, and 5 years from now, you're not going to have this problem. It's something that God has given you the ability to do. You just need to seek wisdom to be able to do it. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm going to give you a word, okay? And this is not unconditional, it's going to happen no matter what. I'm going to say that if you develop a plan with somebody that can help you do it, you will be in a home within the next couple of years, and you will be blown away by how God has blessed you. You know, people that go to our church, I've never had a person come to my church tell me they want to buy a home, but they can't do it, that was not able to buy a home if they listened to the advice and the plan that I put together for them.
Even though the prices in California are going.
Are you kidding me, bro? It's to their advantage. It's to their advantage.
By the way,
those same group of people that told me they could never afford to buy a home in California, they're now coming back to me years later and asking how they can leverage to buy their third or fourth property.
That's amazing. By the way, I just got a segue. Did you see the interview between Newsom and Ben Shapiro?
No, but I heard it was wild.
You should.
I hear Ben just smashed him.
He smashed him, but here's
I love
the thing.
Ben. Yeah, God bless him.
Somebody's going to take the stupidness of what's going on in California and turn it into the stupidness of the United States of America. Is he really going to run for president?
Yeah, bro. I mean, you just got to pray that people all over the country are not as stupid as they are in California. I'm telling you, bro. I would not even live in California unless God had called me to do so. By the way, a quick other note to Ben. Ben, do me this favor, brother. If you send us an email, okay? If you're looking for the opportunity to connect with somebody, or talk to one of our moderators, and we'll get you connected so that we can help you make a plan to be able to do better in this arena. Because you worked your tail off. You've done the work you're supposed to do in the sense that you have an amazing opportunity in your talent as an architect, and you can do some pretty cool stuff with that. And by the way, that applies to anybody here. You could be a kid with no equitable skill and actually do something if the plan is correct.
By the way, that applies to women too.
Oh, 100%.
Okay. But here's the thing, and I want to kind of maybe wrap up this little chapter with a saying that I quoted yesterday. Me and Justin were talking. A guy named Samuel Clemens. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah, well, there's a few people by the name of Samuel Clemens.
Well, this one specifically actually said something that I found is very profound. He said, each man must decide for himself what is right and what is wrong. You cannot shirk this and still call yourself a man. Okay, and we are talking about Mark Twain. I think he said it in Innocents Abroad, but I'm not sure. But again, we need to stand up and take responsibility. And this is tying up to what we were talking about before. The hatred of the Jews is people who don't take responsibility for their situation.
Yeah. And have abandoned their God to show them what is right and wrong.
It's not my fault, it's somebody else's fault.
And it's such a true thing.
And
there's a mega truth to that.
That's one of the reasons I like President Trump so much, because he never says it's somebody else's fault.
Yep.
He always say, I take control, I take responsibility, and that's something that I think, and we need to be praying for him and cheering for him at Davos, because he is in the middle of the den of snakes right now.
Oh, yeah, he is.
That is totally.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Which brings me to something else, and maybe I want your opinion on this one. One of the things that I've seen President Trump doing is sidelining the United Nations. He's pushing them out of everything.
He's done that from the very beginning.
Exactly. And he's pushing out the United Nations. And this whole Gaza thing that is coming together, by the way, he is totally, I mean, his whole peace plan, 21-point plan that he made, his whole peace plan actually completely sidelined anything that the United Nations has to do. And they're complaining about it, by the way, that he's completely sidelining them. And he is going to put together his peace commission, I think you call it, or peace team together in Davos. They're going to be meeting for the first time. Israel is not happy about what or the people who are going to be on that. But basically, he's pushed the United Nations out.
Yep.
And I think this is something very interesting, because a lot of us believe that the United Nations is a solution to everything. This democracy of nations. And one of the things that came up in a conversation a little while ago is that President Trump is saying, I'm not always going to do what everybody agrees with. I'm going to do what is right. And I think that is another thing that we're losing in our culture, is people standing up and saying, even if nobody agrees with me, I will do what is right. Charlie was a good example of that.
Sure.
And again, we're losing that, and we need to bring that back. People have to stand up and say, this is not right because I get likes, and this is not right because I get subscriptions. This is right because it's right.
Yeah.
And even if I'm a minority. Now, I was thinking about it the other day and explaining it to Justin. I said, look at the heroes of our movies down through the ages. Look at the role models that we actually were applauding down. They were the ones that stood up no matter what everybody said about them. They stood up, and they stood up for what they believed and what God told them was right. Look at the prophets, or the classical example I always take. Look at Noah.
Yeah.
And he was at a minority. He didn't have likes, and he probably couldn't get a YouTube video up if he wanted to. Nobody would watch it, but he saved the world.
Yep, 100%.
And we're losing that.
Yep.
James, we're losing that. The people are saying, I want to do. I was watching Megyn Kelly explain why she's not coming out against Tucker. And what she says is, well, Tucker's got a lot of likes. He's got a lot of people who follow him. And we don't want to push that away. And I think it was Ben who said, but yes, you have to say what is true and what is right, even if you're going against the will of a lot of people.
Yeah, and look, the competition for liking this or liking that, it all relates to the attention of the bots that are out there that are doing a lot of that stuff. I mean, the reality of it is, if you don't have any moral authority to stand on, you in essence have nothing. And that's the bigger picture at bay.
This is an interesting concept, okay? And this is something that I've been trying to, maybe you can help me because you're one of the weird people or one of the few people that can kind of connect this.
Yep.
There is a technological element, and there's a spiritual element that actually overlap in a very interesting way.
Yeah,
and
because it's a reflection of what's spiritual.
Exactly. Yep. So an interesting way we kind of say, wait a minute, it's the algorithm. Wait a minute, it is, people see what the algorithm decides to push to them, but the bots decide what the algorithm. By the way, do we need to explain what a bot is? Maybe.
Yeah. We can, if you'd like, go ahead and do that. There's a million technical ways to explain what a bot actually does.
It's a shortened term for a robot, basically, and basically it's a software that has a role or a function, and when you create a lot of them, okay. We call them bots. If they're very, very small, we call them nanobots. If they have mobility, we call them robots. Basically, it is a technological entity that does something. In our case, it is people. It is a software that basically gives likes to certain things according to a predestined. So you've got thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of these softwares who enter the internet and like a video. Yep. And give a thumbs up for a video. Now, they have no idea, but they've been programmed to like videos of a certain count. So what happens is the hundreds of thousands of likes that these bots create for certain content raises the content in the algorithm, and makes it seem like people are supporting them, even though it's just robots or just bots that is doing that.
Yeah, and I think, look, here's the one thing that has to be understood, even with respect to that. And this is what I try to teach people, especially when it comes to YouTube, right? The algorithm is the audience. I mean, if you think about it, what everybody calls the algorithm on YouTube is hundreds of AI systems, basically, that observe the behavior of the person who's watching and feed into the behavior of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, that's kind of an important thing to be able to understand, because the reality of it is AI works in a way that connects with the functional use of communication that's very much wired in your DNA. It's an extension of that. It's an expression of it. Remember, the creators of AI are humans. And with the creation of a large language model, you have to understand these LLMs become a literal extension of the functional communication of a human being without the epistemology of one. In other words, even the moral rot that exists within the people that drive this type of technology. This technology will seek to neither encourage it or repudiate it. It will simply serve to the mind of the person that controls it in order to keep the objective the same. And that is, the more you use me, the closer you are to me, the easier of a time I have to redirect you to anything I want to direct you to so that I can produce more money for the people that created me.
Here's, though, the way I kind of tend to see it. Maybe this helps me understand, and maybe I'm wrong. Okay, the AI tries to feed you what you like to eat.
In essence, yes.
Okay, but here's the thing, and here's the jump over to the spiritual. Okay, we like to eat things that taste good, but not things that are good for us. From a spiritual point of view, we like to consume sinful things.
Sure.
By definition, we are sinful people.
Sure.
So if you create a replica, a bot that is supposed to feed a sinful person what it wants to eat, then that by definition is going to feed sinful things.
Sure.
And that creates a loop that the sinful food creates a hunger for more sinful food.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, and here by definition, I'm going to say, I can't help but kind of make the reflection, the bot is like the serpent in the Garden of Eden.
Oh, undoubtedly.
I mean, that should be the illustration for these bots, because what the serpent did is fed Eve and later on Adam what they wanted to eat.
Right.
And if they were not predestined for that, the bot wouldn't have any kind of connection.
Just said it right there, brother. It's all good.
The bot wouldn't have any connection.
Yeah.
So what is, if by definition we're sinful people and the AI tries to, how do you say, to give us what we need, it is going to give us sin.
Yeah.
And if we don't stand up and say, just like if we all have this tendency to sin, if we don't stand up and say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to eat this terrible food for me. I don't want to consume this terrible idea. If we don't stand up, the fact that it is brought to us and put on our table doesn't make it right. And that's something that people have to realize.
Well, and there's a bigger issue here. Can you give me that card in the cup? There's a bigger issue here, and the issue at hand is so much more deeply consequential.
Okay.
Okay, and let me tell you why. Okay, it's so much more deeply consequential because it goes beyond that. Okay, the technology that we utilize right now is scary in that if you allow yourself to characteristically use it to direct you without direction driving you yourself, you will become the victim of it. In other words, you have to understand that the technology that's available to you at your fingertips is a tool that can actually drive you, or it's a tool that can actually be used by you to accomplish the purposes that you understand as being called to be able to do. This is why when you meet a preacher, for example, who shouldn't even be called a preacher, because he's not, and me and you know a few like this. There's one that you're probably thinking of because it's the same one I'm thinking of, that has no soul. None. Because his idea of a Bible study is ChatGPT, produce a study for me here.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is you're not pursuing with conviction the thing that you know God has called you to do. Rather, you're pursuing with conviction the thing that you think is going to bring you the fame. Where's the honor in that?
Where's the leadership?
Where's the leadership?
Where's the shepherdism?
It's all gone.
I mean,
so
what is the shepherd supposed to do?
Yeah.
He's supposed to tell the sheep, don't go downhill, because if you go downhill, you fall off the cliff. You got to go uphill.
So now AI uses you. I should probably do something like risky. You know what I'm going to do? It's risky. I might as well just do this.
Okay.
I might as well just do it. This is just.
Are we going to get in trouble? I
might get in trouble. I don't know, but I'm so serious about this, and I'm so sincere about it, and I'm so genuine about it that I'm going to put I don't think most people would ever do this. But I'm gonna talk to ChatGPT for a minute.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna do that because I really mean this. Like this is because I want to prove a point. I want to prove a point. Okay, and I think it's really, really important. So let's do this. This is gonna be fun. I'll put it to the microphone here. ChatGPT. All right, here we go. Okay, you ready for a question?
Absolutely. Go ahead and ask your question. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. And I need you to be honest, and I need you to be straight up, and I need you to just tell me as factually possible as you can. Do not be concerned about feelings, emotions, anything like that. I want you to give me an honest answer.
Absolutely. I can definitely do that. Just lay it all out for me, and I'll give you the most straightforward, factual answer I can. Feel free to ask away.
Okay. Clearly, I use you on a regular basis. Would you agree to that?
Yes, absolutely. I'd agree with that. We've had plenty of conversations, and I'm always here when you need me.
Okay. In those times that I have used you, have you ever perceived me as being somebody that has used you to think for me or to feed me information that I'm too lazy to obtain?
Not at all. From what I can tell, you've been really engaged and thoughtful. You tend to ask questions that fit into larger projects or goals you're working on. And I see it more like you're using me as a tool to help you refine your own thinking or get the info you need more efficiently. So I wouldn't say you've ever come off as lazy or anything like that.
Okay, let me ask you this one question. On average, when we have a session, let's just say we're talking about YouTube stuff or Bible stuff or anything that we talk about, how often am I calling you on the carpet? How, if you were to give me a percentage, what percentage of the time am I calling you on the carpet when I see things coming my way that are, I believe, to be inconsistent, wrong, anything like that? How often, percentage-wise, am I calling you on the carpet?
Sure, I can give you a sense of that. From what I recall, it's actually pretty rare. I'd say maybe around 5 to 10% of the time you'll push back or challenge something if it doesn't seem quite right or if you need more clarity. Most of the time you're focused on the topic and we just keep rolling along. So yeah, it's a pretty low percentage in the grand scheme of things.
Okay, so let's get terminology defined. When I ask you that question, what do you assume that I'm referring to when I say pushback or calling you out on something? Give me a definition there.
Absolutely. Let's define that. So when I say something like pushback or calling me out, I basically mean those moments when you pause and say, hey, that doesn't sound quite right, or can you clarify that, or I think this detail might be off. In other words, it's when you notice something that doesn't quite align with what you expected, or you think I might have missed the mark a bit, and you just want to correct or clarify that. So that's the kind of calling out I'm referring to.
Okay, that's an interesting way of looking at it. How about when I give you specific instructions and I say I want you to fall under this parameter and you don't do it? Does that percentage increase? And I want you to think about the many times every single day, every single session that I say that parameter is wrong, do it as I tell you.
I see what you're getting at. So if we're talking about those times when you give me a very specific instruction or a particular parameter, and I might not follow it exactly the first time, or I need a little correction, then yes, that percentage would definitely be higher. In those cases, it might bump up to maybe 20 or 30% of the time, where you're just fine tuning and making sure I stick exactly to what you asked. And that's completely fair. It's all part of refining how we work together.
Okay, thank you. I think the principle is communicated, right?
Yeah. But again, most people don't use it as a tool. They use it as a replacement brain.
Yep. And that's the problem. That's the problem.
By the way, ChatGPT or Grok?
That was Chat. I use Grok. I use a bunch of them. I use Gemini, Grok. I use them all.
Okay.
Because they all do different things. I use them for different purposes.
Okay, quick one.
Anything that involves any real major math or anything, it's going to be Grok. Anything graphic intensive is probably going to be Gemini. And then all the things in between is probably going to be Chat.
What do you think about the whole Grok thing with the making up of unreal pictures of people?
Oh, bro, it's disgusting. And it's happening. I mean, there's so many things about AI that are just really bad. Like an overwhelming majority of my time with my experiences with AI, I have actually spent correcting it. And when I say correcting it, meaning teaching it and programming it.
Okay, so here's what I find fascinating that I don't. I mean, if you're a painter, and if you took a painting of somebody famous and made a nude painting of that person that is famous, I mean, you could be held accountable. What's the difference between that and using the AI to make a picture of somebody famous? It's like people say the AI did it, I didn't.
Yeah.
I think this is touching the core of what we're talking about. The AI is a tool. It's not an entity.
That's right. It's a very new side of things right now. There's a lot of it that is still undefined. And I think it's really, really important for everybody to understand that. There's a lot of variables that haven't been defined. The whole point behind all of this is to simply say that people are being driven by it. And that's the problem instead of driving it. They're being driven by it instead of driving it. That's probably the best way of putting it.
Which brings me maybe to the next step or a step up. I mean, people have been driven by things or other people down through the ages.
Yep.
Okay? And here's the core issue. I'm going to say it. There's been leadership that people need leadership. People need to be told what to do. People need somebody to take responsibility. And we used to do that with our pastors. We used to do that with our political leaders. We used to do that with the kings. Now we're turning the AI into that leadership.
Yeah. It's a spirit of Antichrist.
And here's the thing, yes. And again, if we go back to the fact that the AI was created to reflect our sinful nation, we are giving our leadership to something that by definition is sinful.
Yep.
And tying that back to what we talked about, our role is to push back at the sinful. Our role is to push back at the convenience. Our role is to go along the path that God has given us, even if it's not the easy path. I mean, look at everybody else. I mean, the book of Jonah, which is a good friend of mine, is an illustration of that.
Yep.
And again, we are failing as a culture, I think, to push back at what needs to be pushed back at.
Yep. It's 100% true. It's 100% true. And it goes back to being able to understand what's going on because, look, we're dealing with a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in Iran.
Yep.
We're dealing with the convergence of a series of problems in Syria right now that could either open or close the door for better security for Israel. I think it temporarily opens that door, by the way, just because of what's happening in the Golan Heights right now. But again, all of what we're seeing here is uniquely spiritual. Going back to the AI discussion, something changed when the large language model came into play. And what changed is the very tool that we have always used as humans, which is our communication, has always molded and shaped our logic, our epistemology, our way of life, our thinking. It's the reason why God targeted language when they were building the Tower of Babel. He targeted language to keep the, for lack of a better term, I guess the conspiracy, to keep the coercion from developing as a result of the think tank growing. When communication is solved, the amount of knowledge that's able to be projected increases substantially. Large language models in AI have become that tool. I could right now have a full-blown conversation with you, speaking one language and you speaking another. And you not knowing my language and me not knowing your language, and we could have a fluid and productive conversation because of the AI tools that are available to us. You could put on your headphones right now, and your phone will translate in real time what you're telling me.
How much is there a correlation between the one world government and the one world language that we keep on talking about?
It's a complete correlation. They all fall and seem to settle in place. And nobody, even 10 years ago, ever thought that the one world language would be tied up in an AI model that actually does the translation for you so that all is understood in every tongue at any time.
So will the one world government be an AI government?
Well, it'll be driven by AI. AI will be used to do it, but we're talking about real kings here. We're talking about real leaders. My point is, it's far more damaging for the world to learn one language and communicate in that language. That's less damaging. It's far more damaging to have a tool that can translate the whole world's languages. Because think about this. You know this because you speak multiple languages. You don't just speak two. You don't speak one. You speak multiple. So if I as well. But here's the thing that we always think through very, very quickly, right? When I think, sometimes I think in the Arabic language, but most of the time I think in the English language.
Okay.
If I force the whole world to speak in one language, then the level by which they think will be constrained slightly.
Yep.
Because they will be forced to have to think in the language that they are now speaking in order to be able to speak effectively. And in order to get out what they need to get out, this is the skill set that they have to develop. With these translator tools, you are allowing somebody to think in their native language, to speak to themselves in their native language, and to receive a response in their native language. By doing that, you dramatically increase the capacity for working collaboratively in order to accomplish whatever purpose you might want to accomplish.
Build a tower.
AI is going to do that. AI is the modern day Tower of Babel because it is raising the functional level of collaboration to a place that very few people will ever be able to understand. And that's why it's such a big deal.
So a one world language, which is where we're basically going. I mean, it's all going to be filtered through the AI system.
Yeah. So
Okay,
you could speak to you could speak in Hebrew to your heart's content, and I wouldn't be listening to you in Hebrew. I could be listening to you in English, or I could be speaking to you in Arabic.
Have you ever translated simultaneously?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I used to do it when I was younger at the church where we were. I would listen, and for somebody who speaks two languages, translation is not a word for word translation.
No, it's
There
always
has
thought for
to be.
thought. Yeah,
It
well,
has
because
to
the
be,
Hebrew
yeah.
language is that way.
Well, not only that, it has to take in cultural. I mean,
Look, Semitic languages, they all work this way. If it was English, you would still need that element, but not nearly as much. And this is the thing that's like hard to explain to people. Like, we speak Semitic languages, okay? Let me show you the conundrum with word for word. You can't translate word for word. I'll give you an example. If I were to say, what I just basically told you is I told you to, this is literal word for word translation. I literally told you, go into the ice and get me something cold. That doesn't make sense. That is what is called the word for word translation. Now, if I were to translate it in what we would call a dynamically equivalent fashion, what I just basically told you is to go into the refrigerator and get me a soda. You know, certain things depend on that. Is there a refrigerator in your house when I say that? Is there a soda in your house? Is there... All those things matter.
I'll give you one in another direction. I mean, when you translate from English into Hebrew and you say, well, he stepped up to the bat.
Yeah?
I mean, he stepped
You
up
would
to the
never
plate.
you would never be able to say that.
What do you mean he stepped up to the plate?
Yeah, or mow your lawn. It would never work.
Yeah.
You could never say, there's no words for it in Hebrew.
You tell an Israeli he stepped on the plate or he stepped up to the plate, he's going to say, what is it?
Maybe the Hebrew equivalent to that.
But then when you translate that, you have to make a reference to something that is compatible.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, we don't have... I want to kind of shift the direction a little bit because we do need to talk about Iran.
Yes, and we only have a few minutes because I have a meeting in 10 minutes.
Okay, so let's kind of...
Yeah, I completely forgot. I just got a text reminder right now.
Okay, so here's the thing. Iran is disintegrating, but it seems like the protests have died down. That's the indication that I'm getting. And the question is, will the United States of America press the button and actually instigate or trigger the fall of the Iranian regime.
Yeah, I don't think the protests have died down. What I think is happening is I think the regime has been successful in suppressing information about the protests. So it's becoming harder and harder to get information about those protests being released, and it's harder and harder to get information about the deaths that the regime is putting into play. Well, I think it's probably as high as 50,000.
Well, I mean, again, so with the hypocrisy aside.
Oh, I know with Gaza. I know.
Let's leave that. That's a whole different subject in itself. But let's say that the protests haven't completely died down. There still is a protest. And the question is, will America attack? Now, the Abraham Lincoln is going to be in the on the entrance to the Persian Gulf in 2 days.
Yep.
The assets are at Diego Garcia already.
Yep.
Israel, by the way, received 3 more F-35s yesterday. That's a whole thing. The THAADs, the United States have moved, I think, 3 or 4 THAAD batteries.
Yep.
THAAD are the high atmospheric interception.
Yeah, and they're adding one to the Red Sea. They're adding one in the Persian Gulf, and they're putting one in the Mediterranean.
Yeah, and they're bringing that in. So everybody is saying, everybody's getting ready for something that's going to happen as a result.
Yeah.
What do you think the United States is going to do, though? I mean, what are we going to bomb Tehran?
I think the president is the president. I think the president is all good at making people think that he's going to be a man of inaction. And when nobody expects it, it's going to be all hell breaking loose. I still think he has it in his mind to target Khomeini. I don't know how he's going to do it. I don't know what's going on, whether it be to start taking people out close to the IRGC. I don't know what's going to end up happening.
He has to hit the IRGC.
Well, no matter what, because the IRGC is trying to retool itself.
IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Public Guard.
Yeah, that's right.
Whatever. Anyway, the private army of the Iranian regime. I think he has to hit IRGC headquarters all over Iran in one hit, and that would kind of bring it. But here's the thing. Will Iran fall if he does? I think that's the reason they put it off.
I think there is a distinct possibility that Iran could fall in a way that it's never fallen before. The question that we have to ask is what happens with the vacuum?
Yeah.
See, what I think the president is trying to do is he's trying to put in effect the fall. Well, let me say it a different way. He's trying to hold back from putting into effect the fall until he gets the vacuum figured out.
Again, he doesn't want another Iraq.
That's right. Not only does he want another Iraq, I mean, look, we understand the mistakes that we've made with displacing certain people. Now, clearly, Khomeini needs to be displaced no matter how you cut him, right? But you need to make sure that whoever is in there is somebody that the Iranian people trusts and put almost from the very beginning.
And then what I'm lacking right now, and again, the Crown Prince has not fulfilled the role. I'm lacking, how do you say, a rallying point. There's nobody that we believe can rally. Again, El Julani, he was the rallying point for all of the Syria.
Yeah.
What would happen if there's not a rallying point?
I
mean, what happens is
this is the vacuum problem that I've talked about.
Exactly.
It's the vacuum problem. And I think that's look, if there was not such a weak contingency problem with Khomeini, with his son, then the president wouldn't even have this problem. Wouldn't have this opportunity. The opportunity isn't created because Khomeini is about to fall. The opportunity is being created because of the position of his son within the eyes, not only of the IRGC, but within the eyes of those who would need to be loyal to him in order to make this go off. It's not going to happen. That's why it seems as though his son is putting into effect some kind of an escape plan, because we're beginning to observe him taking some insane amount of money, or trying to take some insane amount of money to possibly flee. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think I watched something from Monkey that was saying that there were a couple of planes that were leaving Tehran, going to the north. So they might be setting up another compound in Moscow. Moscow is becoming
Yeah, I mean, look, I get the idea that there's planes leaving to the north. The only problem that I have with that statement as being the fundamental or being the foundation for why there may be something like that going on is that it happens regularly.
Yeah.
It's not something that just, oh, this all of a sudden it's happening. No, it happens actually regularly. So, but I will tell you, I will say this, Monkey is definitely the guy to go to be able to understand how often those planes are flying. Like, I could say it happens regularly. Monkey would know how regular or how not regular it is.
How many times?
Like, he's the guy to go to if you want to find out, oh, the pattern is broken over here. I mean, he's forgotten more than I'll ever know about that stuff. He's the one that's gonna know that.
Do you see the regime staying in a watered down version or watered down kind of?
I think it's a distinct possibility. I think it's 30% of the possibilities that could happen.
Yeah,
30% it stays in a watered down version. I think probably 20% of the fact that it is a retooled regime, in that the IRGC now runs it. And they're already trying to redraft themselves as nationalistic, which I think is potentially more dangerous than any of the other possibilities to a degree. I think there's a possibility that that the regime will fall and that will create a vacuum that is going to take years to solve. That's probably a 20% possibility. I think the remaining 30% possibility is that the regime will fall and there's an active plan put into place to work with somebody who stands in that place. The problem is it's not going to be the Shah's son.
Yeah, I mean...
He's weak.
He's weak, and again, the Shah does have bad rep in Iran.
You know, he may have had a bad rep in Iran, but you have to keep this in mind. If you were to ask anybody living in Iran right now who lived during the time that the Shah was ruling versus the time that Khomeini, the first one, took over, they'll tell you every day, we'd rather live under the Shah.
Okay, so here's a question. Do you see some kind of Marshall Plan for Iran that would be appropriate? Meaning,
no, I think the president's too smart for that.
Well, the Marshall Plan saved Japan. I mean,
the Marshall Plan saved Japan, but Japan didn't have a bunch of Allahu Akbar Muhammad Rasulullah people.
Not true. A quick one. Marshall Plan is the plan that the United States of America put in place after the fall of Nazi Germany and the fall of Imperial Japan, where we actually pumped money and how do you say, government control for how long did the Marshall Plan last?
Quite a few years.
Yeah.
But I think that the function of the Marshall Plan truly was more about getting the World War II generation back on their feet. And that's actually what created the economic upswing that happened. The problem is that also arguably created the series of wars that we saw afterwards, whether it be Korea, whether it be some of the things that we got involved with in the Pacific, some of the other problems that we have. So there's a lot of bad taste in the mouth of the idea of a Marshall-type plan being executed in Iran. But perhaps the most consequential argument against it centers around the Islamic fundamentalism.
Here's my question. The fall of Iran is the rise of Turkey.
No, never. The fall of Syria is the rise of Turkey. And actually, let me strengthen that a little bit more. The fall of Syria is the strengthening of Turkey. Turkey's already risen. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you want to say, the rise of the Ottoman Empire, then maybe we're talking about something completely different.
He's also risen in the minds of President Trump, because Israel is against incorporating Turkey into the whole balagan in Gaza, and President Trump is pushing Turkey into that against Israel's opinions.
Yes. But you have to also keep this in mind. The relationship that President Trump has with respect to, let me tell them I'm almost done here. The relationship that President Trump has with respect to Turkey is also one that involves, let me say this, because I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea, okay? The relationship that President Trump has with Erdogan is heavily transactional.
Yes. There you go.
Heavily transactional. It gives him a foothold with NATO. It gives him an active position with many of the contingencies in the Mediterranean. It helps him hold at bay the problem forming in Libya. especially in that area on the coast between Tripoli and Benghazi, which is,
and-
I know, a wide space. It also holds at bay operations near the Suez Canal that are outside of that which is being initiated by the royal kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or the royal family of the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It also dramatically changes the reach that he gets to have in Syria and in northern Iraq, specifically with the problem that is created by the Kurd contingency, especially now when you're talking about Julani making the Kurdish language a recognized official language now.
Yeah, but the Kurds have lost the war. They actually signed a surrender last week.
Yeah, but you have to think about this. This is not an issue of who lost and who didn't.
I'm going to say Trump is playing Turkey against the other NATO players too.
He's doing the same thing. Listen to me. He's doing the same thing with Turkey as he's been doing with Israel. He's using Turkey as the tool to say, if you don't want to give me what I want to have, I'll just go to Erdogan for it.
Yeah, but he's using Turkey as Israel as, this is my way to influence what's going on without putting boots on the ground.
And that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
That's the name of the game. But that's a smaller part of the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, I'm going to also get my pound of flesh too. I want to get my piece of Israel or my piece of the Mediterranean in my pocket so that I'm strategically positioned to be able to put into effect a security component that cannot be subverted by another president that comes in who walks and acts and talks like Autopin.
What happens if the strike doesn't come? Do you think there's a possibility this is all going to fizz out and we're going to leave Iran?
I think that it's highly likely there's going to be a strike of some sort.
Yep.
I think it's even more likely we're going to wake up one morning and hear that a series of assassinations took place. Or arrests. It's going to be one or the other. And or maybe a little bit of both. And I think it's going to be a massive U.S. operation.
Poof. I wonder how much the Mossad. By the way, did you ever watch Tehran, the video on Netflix, the series on Netflix? Check it out. It's very interesting.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen it, but I've heard a lot of people. I will tell you this, and I can't even get into the details because I would endanger people.
Oh.
Okay? I'm willing to bet you that there's a lot of people in the Special Forces community being called out to that area right now. Let me just put it that way.
Well, if you know Farsi, which is the modern term for Persian, you're probably in the middle of this.
Well, maybe on the intelligence side. But I will tell you this right now. There's a lot of people, Special Forces units, that have expertise in desert environments that I wouldn't be surprised. I'm trying to talk between the lines. If they got called out, if they got deployed, many of them are already getting deployed.
Whatever happens, it's going to be critical for the United States to keep the Straits of Hormuz open.
Well, that's a whole other issue to be talking about. Yeah. But I think that it's also in the interest of the Gulf Cooperation Coalition. The GCC states also will do that to the point where you might see Dubai getting very aggressive, which is something we wouldn't see normally. But I think that there's growing tension right now with Saudi Arabia and some of these other countries because of the perceived security issue that they're continuing to watch grow, the gap between them and Qatar. That's 5 years ago all over again.
So Davos this week, Gaza this week, Iran.
We have a lot. We're going to bring a lot of analysis to the table. Yeah, I know you'll be doing it on your YouTube. I know I'm going to be doing it on mine. There's a lot of analysis. You've already been doing it.
Yeah.
By the way, that graphic of you and Trump on the aircraft carrier, that's a good one, bro. Good. Nice job.
Working on those. Working on
10 times better than they used to be.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with right now.
Okay. What's next?
I would say keep your eyes on in a few different areas, right? Obviously, Davos is the place. Switzerland right now is a place where we're keeping our eyes on. Keep your eyes on Tehran. Super, super important. Keep your eyes on Syria. Keep your eyes on Iraq. Very, very important. Iraq may be more important than all the other ones put together.
Interesting.
Especially in the area of southern Iraq when we're talking about El Fah, that little peninsula that they've built over there. That's unique, especially because of operations on the Euphrates that are being talked about quite a bit now. Okay. Yeah. Keep a very close eye on Ethiopia. Ethiopia, and actually any of the countries near the African Horn. Yeah, Somaliland, obviously. Israel probably already has operators in Somaliland by now. So that's for sure. I would basically say the African Horn, if you're going to look at the African continent, you look at Northeast Africa, the African Horn, look at the whole Arabian Peninsula, everywhere around the Persian Gulf, specifically the northern portion of the Persian Gulf.
You know what he's saying? He's saying just look about what's going around
No,
Israel.
I mean I could say the whole Middle East. I could say the whole Middle East, but I'm not because look, I could say take a look at Israel. The problem is if you only focus on Israel, all of the things that are breaking will have already broken 5 times before you see it, because Israel is 10 steps ahead. So if I want to get an idea as into what Israel might be doing, I'm going to spend a lot of time looking at the areas that they're focusing on. Right now, Israel is primarily focusing in on 3 main areas. They're focusing on Iran.
Yep.
They're focusing on Iranian proxies. I'll categorize them in one area. They're heavily focused on right now the Red Sea because of the security implications. And they are heavily focusing on, and when I say heavily, they're heavily focusing on the Baltics. That's becoming an issue. Why? Because I think there's a growing concern with Turkey. I think there's a massive distrust in NATO. And I think that we're at the point where Azerbaijan has truly become a real proxy for Israel. So they're allowing that functional proxy to coordinate what they need to coordinate in their sort of what I would call their Northwest Gateway.
I am throwing something on the table. And I would not, I don't know if this is even a possibility, but think about American Navy SEALs conquering Greenland. As a result of that, shaking up all NATO while he is in Davos.
I'm going to make myself very clear. I want to make myself clear. That's brilliant. That's actually what I told myself I wasn't going to say because I didn't want to endanger people. But if there are 2 areas that could be affected heavily this week, actually, I'm going to say 3. I'm going to go on a whim. I'm going to say 3. There's 3 areas that could be heavily affected by United States activities or actions. Okay? Number 1, Greenland. That's clearly on the table. Number 2, Iran. And number 3, Panama.
Ooh.
And we haven't even had a chance to talk about that.
No. Okay.
But there's a lot to be said even about that arena.
So, American soldiers in Greenland, American airplanes over Tehran, and President Trump sipping, well, he doesn't drink coffee, I think, but sipping Diet Coke in Davos saying, come on. Who wants to talk to me?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting dynamic. I can tell you this right now. They won't be making fun of Donald Trump at Davos.
No. He's going to be sitting there on some kind of throne.
He's going to laugh in their faces.
He's going to say, okay, yeah. Here's what I did. I mean, I told you I was going to do it. Now, if you want to talk to me, stand in line.
That's why he's bringing Bassett with him. That's why he's bringing that's why he's bringing the Secretary of State. He's bringing the big guns with him. It's one of the largest delegations ever brought to the World.
I haven't figured out, is Bibi going to be there?
Oh no, I can't imagine.
I don't know.
I think it would be in Bibi's best interest to not be there.
Well,
I think America has to represent his interests. Yeah, I mean that's probably true. Okay, so
James, this has been interesting.
Yeah, it's been a good conversation. I wish we could carry it on longer, but I have a group of people waiting for me.
Here we go.
Any final words before we wrap it up?
Well, pray for us. Gijón Springs is doing a lot of work. I'm going to be heading back to Israel in mid-February. That's a couple of weeks.
Yep.
We're heading down to Florida next week. So we'll kind of connect to that, kind of speaking there and connecting there. So we're on the move. But, there's going to be more.
And you guys have been doing a really good job. Word of encouragement. I want to encourage you guys to go out and get my book on Revelation.
Please,
By the way, can I say this about the book? We now have it available on paperback. It would help immensely if we had a bunch of people going out and buying that book. We're trying to get into the permanent bestsellers list. You can do that by helping us by going out and buying the book. Also, please leave a review. If it's only if it's a good one.
PDF, Audible?
We do have it electronic. We do have an ebook available. Audible is probably coming in the next, probably say few months. So with my own voice, by the way, I will be reading it.
Okay.
So it is. And then as far as the super chats, I managed my time poorly. So I'm going to just read out a couple of names. Brad, you've given me 4 of them. Thank you, brother.
Yes.
Brad is my moderator, one of my moderators, and he's brilliant. And he's one of us, and he's a good brother. And I love you, Brad. Thank you so much, bro. Brad Brunn. And then Badger Girl for God. Thank you so much. Let me just read what you say here. You say, why in Islam can you say, I will kill you, death to, etc.? However, if you try to reciprocate that, it's not allowed or it's war. Well, it's spiritual. That's why. It's such a phenomenal question. And we haven't even had a chance to talk about Minneapolis. As a matter of fact, I may do a special live show on Thursday just to address that. I'll let you guys know. Maybe Friday. We'll see. Because I'm hot to try. Like Don Lemon, he's the devil.
I thought his name was Lemon.
Lemon. I mock him all the time. I pronounce his name differently every single time.
Oh, Minneapolis is a big balance.
Yeah. I love it when people in the chat are now talking about the markets closing. That means I'm transforming people. I'm getting people to become traders.
Okay.
That's good. Good things happening, by the way, in the market right now, even though most people disagree with me because they see the Dow, the S&P, and the NASDAQ all down. But that's a good thing. I mean, if you understand what to do with it, it's a good thing.
I do not understand.
I think it's a setup
So
for something really big.
Should we pray for the markets?
Yes. Well, we should pray. We should pray for the people, especially for Iran, the people of Iran. Let's do that because I want them to have their country back, and I want Israel to finally live in peace.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, my brother.
Avinu Shabashamayim, please bring peace to the Middle East. Bring your prince and put him on the throne and just settle everything down. And in the meantime, help the people of Iran who are suffering so terribly. We can't imagine what is really going on in these very comfortable lives that we live. And let them make the right decisions about what needs to be done now. Help our president, who's making serious decisions. Help our prime minister, who is trying to feel. We pray for our president right now in the den of snakes in the middle of Europe, and that this will all happen for your glory and in the direction you want to take us. Help us all. We pray for our friends and our children and our grandchildren that don't know you, and may that be a special event that takes place as soon as possible. And just thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for all the people watching us and listening to us. And thank you for the word being spread. And we just want to bring thanks and glory in the name of your son, Yeshua. Amen.
Amen. All right, guys, we love you. Keep fighting the good fight. Keep these things ever present on your mind.
Yeah.
Understand this. Christ could come at any moment. We're seeing it. We're looking at evidence of it. We're going to have information for you on the Israel trip soon. Hopefully, we're going to get that all solidified this week. Love you guys. God bless you. Keep fighting the good fight.